Today we are going to find out who the fastest player in NHL 22 is. I had a lot of fun posting content on this game, but today we're going to end it all with the fastest skater in NHL 22. We are going to take the 8 players that competed in the skills challenge this year, but I didn't want to stop at 8. I wanted to add 2 more. So we have 10 total skaters skating the length of the ice to find out who is the fastest skater in NHL 22. Now, there's a lot of players to choose from. We're going to pick who the NHL picked this year, and then I added 2 guys that I think could give the other 8 a run for their money. One interesting fact about skating. I was doing some reading online about skating. Get this. Skating, according to physicist Thomas Humphrey, is the fastest way to travel on the surface of the earth on your feet. How crazy is that? So the fastest way on foot we can travel is through skating. When they first started pulling contact out of hockey, that was one thing that I didn't want to see. But understanding now that the majority of these guys, in comparison to guys back in the 80s and 90s, are moving so much faster, to keep them safe, I think they got to pull contact out of the game a little bit. We got 10 skaters, starting with Jordan Kyrou of the St. Louis Blues. We got Adrian Kemp of the Los Angeles Kings, Chris Kreider of the New York Rangers, Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers, Cale Makar of the Colorado Avalanche, Dylan Larkin of the Detroit Red Wings, and Evgeny Kuznetsov of the Washington Capitals. So those are the 8 players that actually competed in the actual speed challenge at the skills weekend earlier in the year. The 2 other players we added were Taylor Hall of the Boston Bruins and Johnny Gaudreau of the Calgary Flames, now the Columbus Blue Jackets. So we are going to run these players the length of the ice to see who can get from one end to the other. Basically how we did it, we're going to go frame by frame at the very finish to show you the milliseconds, because that's really what it comes down to for all these guys. So when these guys start skating is when I started the timer for every single player, so we can really narrow it down to the millisecond. So as you see here, Jordan Kyrou, the second that right foot hits the red line, boom, we got the timer started. So he's going to go the length of the ice all the way to the other end, and very similarly, we're just going to stop him right there, seeing that his foot hits the mark right at the 5:18 to 5:19 millisecond mark. We did that with all 10 skaters to see who comes out on top as the fastest skater in NHL 22. All right, starting with Jordan Kyrou. He's going all the way the stretch of the ice to the very far end, and we are seeing that he stops right there. That 5:18 and then 5:19 hits his foot right on the mark. Next skater being Adrian Kemp, and we're off. The second that foot touches that red line, that's when we start the timer. His foot hitting the red line mark at 5:34. Chris Kreider, second his foot hits the line, we're off. All the way to the other side, bringing him to a 5:25 for Chris Kreider. Moving on, Connor McDavid. We all know Connor's got speed. We're going to see what he finishes off at the far side. The second that foot hits the mark, boom, right there. So he's got 5:09, which is just crazy. I guess we can't say we're too surprised by that. Moving on, Cale Makar, the defenseman. Crazy to have a defenseman in the mix here, but his speed is something else. So we're going to see what he finishes off at. Foot hitting the mark right at that 5:19 mark. We are seeing a good mixture of skaters here hit a good mixture of numbers, a good difference of numbers, I should say. Kyle Connor taking off. They are all in the 5-second range. It's really just coming down to milliseconds at this point. Hits the mark at 5:28. 5:29? What did we get there? Right at 5:29, Kyle Connor hits the mark. We're going to rank all these guys at the end. Dylan Larkin going the length of the ice. Puck makes it through, looking at that right foot. Right foot makes it right there at the 5:19 mark. You see his foot cross over. Okay, moving on. Evgeny Kuznetsov. Cutting it super close. We are seeing his right foot hit 5:17. Moving on, Taylor Hall. At 5:20, his foot hits the red line. Last but not least, Johnny Gaudreau. All the way. 5:21, foot hits the line. We went through the actual strides of these guys running the length of the ice. And I recorded the acceleration as well as the speed for each of these players. So starting with Adrian Kemp, he had an acceleration of 88 and a speed of 88. Finished with a 5:34. Kyle Connor with an acceleration of 89 and a speed of 89, finishing with a 5:29. Chris Kreider with an acceleration of 87 and a speed of 89, finished with a 5:25. Johnny Gaudreau with an acceleration of 93 and a speed of 93, finished with a 5:20. Taylor Hall, acceleration of 91 speed of 92, finishes with a 520. Cale Makar with an acceleration of 93, speed of 93, finishes with a 519. Dylan Larkin with an acceleration of 93 and a speed of 93, finishes with a 519. Jordan Kyrou with an acceleration of 94 and a speed of 94, finishes with a 518. Evgeny Kuznetsov, acceleration of 93, speed of 93, finishes with a 517. And Connor McDavid, acceleration of 96 and speed of 96, finishing with a 509. Now, I don't think we're surprised who came out on top. Come NHL 23, I want to do who's the fastest center, who's the fastest right wing, who's the fastest left wing, and then going on to defense and then goalies as well. Now, we know Connor McDavid is the fastest skater in the NHL. This is just kind of solidifying it at that point, but it is interesting to see. I did 3 total skates, took their fastest time from those 3 skates, and this is what we saw. Because there is a little bit of movement within the skating, like it's hard to go in a straight line, so even that tiny bit of movement is going to kill a few milliseconds off of their total time. So I was actually very surprised to see that Johnny Gaudreau, his fastest time was the exact same as Taylor Hall's. The 3 attempts for each of them, they had around the same time. So that to me is kind of surprising. I think there is other aspects of it, maybe the agility rating, some things that we can look at in NHL 23 to see if those things impact their speed at all, whether it be in a negative or a positive way. But there we have it. To no one's surprise, Connor McDavid is the fastest player in real life NHL, as well as in NHL 22. Let's see what they do in NHL 23, because when it came to speed in the skills competition that weekend, Connor McDavid was not the one to win. It was Jordan Kyrou. So in my opinion, straight raw speed, Jordan Kyrou should be the fastest in NHL 23. Will they do it? Who knows? But we will find out. We will break it down and see if Jordan Kyrou is actually the fastest NHL skater in the future game NHL 23. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care.